to keep this really simple. The first food that you should avoid is sugar. Why? Because sugar turns to fat in the body. And sugar is really hard to avoid because it's literally in everything. Let me know if you're in the comments below if you know what I'm talking about. It's in everything. If you start to read the labels of the food you're buying, even the health food, you're gonna start to notice that there's sugar. And a lot of times it doesn't say sugar. You know, it says maltase, or it says sucrose, or it says, you know, there's a ton of different names for sugar, and these food companies are smart, and now, you know, it's tricky. You have to really be an educated consumer. So if you want to lose weight, one of the first ingredient to start to look for and to try to cut back on in your diet, and it's probably the hardest thing to do, but it's also the most effective, is sugar. And how you do that is really start reading the labels of the foods that you buy. And also I'd recommend, I'm not gonna, you know, share with you a whole list of all the different names for sugar here, but, you know, if you do a quick search on Google for, you know, sugar, names of sugar, just type in names of different types of sugar and you're gonna find a whole list. And just start to familiarize yourself with those terms, because those are the things you want to be looking for on the ingredients. And obviously when you're reading the ingredient label, it's going to say, you know, 25 grams of sugar. You want to look for food that doesn't have added sugar, and you want to look for food that has low sugar. Carbohydrates, you know, this is a big thing. Carbs are not bad. We need carbs. You know, whole grains are carbs. Vegetables are actually carbs. It's the simple carbs, it's the processed carbs that we want to avoid. And carbs, a carbohydrate, you know, they're what provide us energy, but essentially what a carbohydrate is it's sugar. So it breaks down in our bodies into sugar. So if you're looking to lose weight, it's a good idea to start to cut back on the processed carbohydrates, such as, you know, cakes, cookies, muffins, bagels, pasta, you know, those types of foods. What they do in our bodies is literally they break down into sugar. And again, as you know, the sugar that you don't use is stored as fat. So when you're trying to lose weight, really, I mean, start to be hyper conscious of how much sugar you're getting in your diet. Now, the second thing you really want to start to avoid is refined flour. And sugar and refined flour, they usually kind of go together. So refined flour is like white flour. And I like to share in my presentations and with my clients this little saying. It goes, the whiter the bread, the quicker you're dead. So the white stuff, you know, anything that's white is refined. It's usually bleached, you know, white bread, again, bagels, white flour, all that stuff. It's, you know, it's loaded with usually a lot of other ingredients as well that we want to be avoiding, like preservatives and all other, you know, a ton of other different things. But you want to start to avoid the white stuff. You know, so go for whole grains. Go for, you know, whole grain bread if you're gonna have bread. Go for things that that aren't white, really. And then the third thing, really, to start to cut back on and really try to avoid is processed foods. Which again, processed foods have what in it? They have refined flour and they have sugar in it. So really, if you just start to avoid processed foods, which are foods that come in a bag, a box, or a can. They're foods that are loaded with ingredients, and unfortunately most of the food today is actually processed. Even if you go into like a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods or, you know, a Fresh Market or, you know, a natural food store, the majority of food actually is still processed. So you still have to be an educated consumer. You know, you walk into Whole Foods, not everything in that store is healthy. You know, they do have much healthier choices, organic options, and you know, more natural foods, which is great, but a lot of the food is still processed. So you really, when you're trying to lose weight, one of the biggest things you could do is just start to eat more real food, high quality food. You know, I mean, though high quality food is food with nutrition in it. It's nutrient dense food. That's the food that's gonna nourish your bodies, which is gonna, you know, really satisfy your appetite. And when you're eating all these processed foods and this refined flour and this sugar, the reason why you're still hungry is because you're not getting nutrition. So when you're eating these foods, you're not getting the nutrition your body needs, so you're still hungry, and that leads you to eating more of this, which then leads to, unfortunately, being a little bit, carrying around some extra weight.